It is Founders Day here at Legal Tech 2026. I'm with Alex Smyth from LexisNexis. She is the EVP and General Counsel. One of the things that is going to be so interesting about this conversation, if you stick around for it, is that Alex is customer facing. She's one of these. I think it's a new wave, and it's a new gen of GCs that are more customer focused, market facing than ever before. It's less behind the scenes. Not that you're not running an entire legal department at LexisNexis, and not that you're not customer first at LexisNexis. We'll talk about all the fun tools and tech that you get to play with. And you get to be James Bond a little bit and get all the tools. But let's talk about your role at LexisNexis. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure.
Fantastic. So your role, you're customer facing. What percentage of your day is out there in the field or on the phone or on a Zoom? Walk us through just sort of the evolving role of the GC.
So I think for me, I'm probably slightly more customer facing than a lot. And that's partly because I am a customer. I'm a lawyer. LexisNexis builds products for lawyers. So it makes sense. We are, as a team, often involved in product testing and giving feedback on the products, helping the team improve them so that when they do go to market, they're the best they can be. That is a huge amount of fun for our team. We enjoy that a lot. I think, obviously, to your question, there are some times where I'm a lot more public facing than others. Legalweek is one where I'm very public facing. I'm not always at conferences. I'm often sitting at my desk actually doing work, but not that this isn't work, but I think it's probably a mix. It's hard for me to give you a percentage, and that's not dodging the question. It's just that it changes depending what's going on.
Alex, what can you do today, you and your team do today, that you could not do 12 months ago? That's how fast things are moving. That's how fast LexisNexis has products and services and workflows coming down the pipeline. What can you do today you couldn't do 12 months ago?
Oh, wow. A lot of things. I think what has really, really changed in the last 12 months is that we're sort of past the phase of just experimenting with AI, which I think everybody was doing. We were all on the big LLM models, testing things out, having fun with that. And it is now sort of in a phase of workflows, which are repeatable sequences of things you can get AI to do, which basically automate a whole thing. I can give you a really simple example if it's helpful, which is
Please.
NDAs. I think any colleague of mine who's listening to this, any in-house counsel knows what an NDA is. They're not particularly complicated documents, and I think we have automated those now. And just to sort of give you an idea, I think a lot of tools out there can automate an NDA for you, but what we've built is a tool where not only is it automated, you put the NDA you receive into the tool, it reviews it against a whole bunch of criteria, it gives you comments. If it needs to be escalated to a lawyer, it drafts you the email. And if it doesn't, it says you're good to go, business person. Off you go with the NDA. So that has cut down the time of reviewing from a couple of days, sending it to the legal team, getting it allocated to a couple of minutes. But what's particularly interesting and sort of a big step forward that's come probably only in the last couple of months is that we now have a tool built onto that where we're constantly scanning the market. And by the market, I mean sort of what other people are doing, but also the legal position to see whether we need to make any changes to our NDA. So within Protégé, you can get Protégé to have a look, see if there's been any changes in the actual law. It will tell us if there are, then we can update our form. All of that was done manually 12 months ago.
See, it's the real-time, fluid nature of things that's fascinating to me. Time to deal.
Yeah.
Fluid. Time to deal. Real time.
Yeah.
Time to deal.
Yeah.
How much faster? I was having this conversation with somebody else the other day, and they were schooling me up a little bit on the sooner we get signature, the sooner the meter, the sooner the meter starts to run on a deal. So if I can shrink the time to contract or shrink the time to deal, that's the sooner we begin to generate revenue.
Exactly.
And revenue in these particular instances for this particular individual is like, it goes for years.
Yeah.
So the sooner, the better.
Yeah, I can give you a stat on that actually, because we do track that internally. And in the last year, we haven't actually rolled out every tool everywhere globally because they're all new and there's different rules in different parts of the world. But in our team, in the segments that we're able to currently track, which we track using AI, we have reduced our turnaround time. And that's the time from when a deal is made by sales to when the contract is signed by 22.7%.
One of the reasons that I was so enthused about the opportunity to have this conversation with you is that I've been hearing about LexisNexis workflows. I didn't really know what they were, didn't fully understand it, but you've got hundreds of them. And I was thinking of workflows, so help me out and sort of coach me and the audience up a little bit. I was thinking of workflows as, if you give me an iPhone or you give me an Android, I'm like, well, I don't exactly know what the apps are that could be on that. But if you show me the app, it's like, oh my God, it's a flashlight. I know what to do with a flashlight and when to use it.
Yeah.
If you show me the GPS map, I know how and when to use that. If you show me the Uber app, I'm like, I never would have invented the Uber app. So there's something that's been going on in the market. Like, well, you figure out what your X is, and then we'll show you how to solve it. You've done the opposite of like, look, we have all of these workflows. Which one would you like? Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think that's jumping the fence and moving us to next.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So thank you for asking. I think what we have actually announced in the last 2 weeks, it's building on something that we've been working towards for a while, but they're now all publicly available, is nearly 300 workflows. And that's just the start. There could be thousands of them. We're constantly building new ones. And workflows cover a lot of things. It's various things. It could be, draft me a motion to dismiss, draft me a cease and desist. Any of those things could be, write me a timetable for litigation, could be transactional. And you can also build your own, all grounded in our content. So that the workflow is based on authoritative law.
And is this like the App Store where if I have a really good idea, I can get onto your platform, build an app, build a workflow, and it's on the Lexis? I can't get away from the App Store. So
it's not quite. It's not quite like an App Store, but I know exactly what you mean.
Well,
so
Tim Cook will be very happy to know that.
If you're on our Protégé platform and you go and build a custom workflow, you can use that. I don't believe that custom workflow would be available to other customers. So in that way, it's not like the App Store. We're not sort of crowdsourcing,
right?
But you can build your own, and then they're there alongside all the ones that we've built, and they're all based on our authoritative content, which I think is a huge leap forward, because anyone can go onto ChatGPT or Claude or any of these products, which are amazing products. I use them personally in my personal life. They're fantastic, but they're not necessarily grounded in authoritative content. And we've all seen the lawyers get burnt by hallucinated cases and all that sort of stuff.
Can you talk about authoritative content for a minute? Again, we've got 3,000 listeners that listen to this particular podcast series, and I'm not sure that they all have 20 and 30 years of experience understanding where LexisNexis came from and what that authoritative content is. Can you just sort of unwrap that for the for the novice?
Yeah. So
or the intermediate.
Over many decades, LexisNexis has built up a huge bank of content. It's
decades and decades and decades.
Decades and decades and decades. It's billions of documents. It's cases, it's regulation, it's everything. Where we really add the value, because anyone can go onto a court and download the case law. Where LexisNexis adds the value is in this sort of seeing whether that case overrules other cases, seeing that it's the latest form of regulation or legislation. Because if you hop onto Google or any search engine, it will pull up a case, but it won't tell you whether that is authoritative law. It's just a case. It might have been overruled. So when we're looking at and it's built up over many, as you say, many decades, it's a huge, huge bank of law. We're adding to it daily, millions and millions of documents added daily, and they're all sort of curated, they're all put in the right place, and it means that people can be confident that the answer that they get when they're using these workflows is grounded in that.
Can we chat a little bit about the difference between purpose-built and general purpose? Because that's really what we're talking about here. LexisNexis, whether it's LexisNexis or it's Thomson Reuters or it's one of several others, like these are purpose-built platforms, purpose-built tools by legal for legal.
Correct.
Can you talk about the difference between the advantages of, and I'm not selling LexisNexis, I just want here's the difference between a general purpose and a purpose-built.
Yeah, so it's basically exactly what I said. In a purpose-built, that it's grounded in the actual law. That's not the case for a general one. And I think there's over 1,000 examples. There's a website that documents them all, 1,000 examples of people getting burnt in court by citing cases that they found on ChatGPT that don't actually exist. Some of them are quite amusing to read, but if you're the lawyer who's in trouble, it's probably not ideal. So that's the difference. It's built for lawyers, and that what is coming out is verifiable content that you can check. Every single citation we have that is linked back to our Shepard's citation. I'm sure some of your listeners will know exactly what that is, but you don't run the risk that you're putting in a case that doesn't exist. Just for example, equally, if you download, you ask it to draft some sort of document for litigation, it's the most recent version, not an old one.
Talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing in the marketplace right now in terms of maturity. So as you go from coast to coast and around the world, and you think about the maturity level 1, 2, 3, and 4, what does that look like, and how would you describe that of those that are investing and those that are advancing and those that are commanding the use of tools and technology today?
So I think we are at a turning point. I think it's when you're in the moment, it's quite hard to sort of see that you're in the moment. But I think when we look back on this time, it will be an inflection point for our industry. I think people are just starting to move beyond experimentation into what we call workflows, which are repeatable sequences. And that's where you get the real return on investment from using AI. I think using an AI product for a little bit of cheeky testing and saving yourself a few minutes every day is great, but where it really adds value to an organization, whereas it's embedded in your process and it's repeatable, it's the same every single time, and it's authoritative, that's when we're really going to start to see it. In terms of where the industry is now, I think people are thinking really hard how they get there. I think a lot of people are experimenting with a lot of different things, and probably the average legal team and in private practice or in-house hasn't quite nailed it yet.
I think a lot of the success that we're all having right now, and the momentum that we're experiencing, is because we've been working off the side of our desk, right? We go home and you've got a 4-car what I call a 4-car garage. You've got Chat and Copilot and
Yep.
and Gemini, etc. And so there's your 4-car garage, and off the side of your desk you can start doing these things. I can't work with LexisNexis. I don't have access off the side of my desk. Unless it's been brought in, unless somebody at the
Yep.
top brings it in. So that's not a bottom up, or is there a bottom up door? Is there a side door or a back door into LexisNexis where I can take this for a test drive?
Well, I think this is something we'd have to talk about with sales, but you can always get a trial, but we don't give it out for free.
Hold on one second. Somebody get me sales on the phone. Can you get me sales? I'm sure that they're going to love this conversation.
I'm sure they might give you a trial, but we definitely don't give out our content for free.
No, not the content. I just want to try it up the side of my desk. So 1-800-LexisNexis, I think, is the number. Or no, but I think that there's a bottom up. I mean, there's all of this youthful enthusiasm of there's got to be a better way, and there's got to be a way to do that. That clearly is a conversation for our next podcast.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Let me go and talk to the team, and I'll come back to you.
If I had a freebie, I'm I don't know what it is and how it works, but I would take it for a test drive. I mean, I left my wife for Claude over Valentine's Day week. I did. I said I got a hall pass from her. She says, "Is it Claude or Claudine?" I said, "It's Claude." And she said, "Okay, Claude, you can go out with Claude for the weekend, but there's no Claudine." And so I spent 4 or 5 hours with Claude over the Valentine's Day weekend, and I'm never going back.
Never going back to what?
I'm never going back to just to a monogamous relationship with Chad.
Okay.
I had I can't say.
So I'll tell you one thing that is cool about our product, and I'm not here just to try to sell our product, but it's a
You're doing a great job.
It's a multi-model product, so it uses all of these big LLMs. And if you're in our product and you're doing something behind the scenes, it will choose the best model for that. So you don't have to sort of sit there and decide, are you using Claude? Are you using Chat? You can just go into Protégé and it will use the best for that use case.
That's brilliant. I think that's a separator. I don't think the market understands the model switching that's happening right now, and enough about tokens. But I think we'll all be more savvy about that in the coming 6 to 12 months. Alex, I know that your time is precious. You've been so nice to spend it with us here today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I will look forward to let's do this again in 6 months.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Right? In 6 months, as we get into the fall, let's go. What's the difference between the conversation that you and I had here in March and then in September, October? Let's do it again.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Alex, thank you so much. You're welcome. If you enjoyed this show, be sure to give us a like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your shows. And if you want to take your career from now to next, never eat alone.